Welcome, everybody. My name is Karl Karufel. Tonight I am joined alongside OMD, and this is, Turnbuckle Talk. That is right. It is Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about some drafting new happiness over the course of this probably about hour ish. OMD still has music and stuff playing. I don't understand how because everything has been paused and turned off. And I even muted the background music. So that was interesting. That
Yeah.
definitely was interesting. OMD, it is
Yes.
good to see you. So I had a coworker of mine today kind of tell me that he feels that we are going to have a much milder summer than we have in the past because of the mild winter that we
Right.
had. And I had to kind of remind him of a little saying that kind of goes, April showers bring May flowers. Now
Yes.
that's something that one of those little sayings that we've kind of heard growing up throughout the years, and we've had lots of showers in this April, so I'm hoping that really it does bring us some May flowers and nicer weather. What are some of those um little sayings that you remember growing up?
One of the ones that I remember growing up with through my family was the sun is high, the grass is riz. I wonder where the birdies is. Now I
Okay,
don't know. Yeah,
interesting.
I was brought up with that one through my dad, so I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely hoping we're gonna have a much milder, not necessarily milder, but a much drier May.
Right, and I hope so too. I definitely do. You may notice that we're missing one member of the team here tonight. We are missing Chris Best. He is in the chat, though, with CBRS Entertainment over on YouTube, saying, Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you have a great show. And that we've had nothing but rain for nearly a week now, which is very, very true. Tamari Zin, hello. Thank you for stopping by Turnbuckle Talk, a pro wrestling podcast. One of the other sayings that I used to hear growing up, and it reminds me of someone who has passed away, but I don't believe that she even created it, but it came out from somewhere. It was, see my finger, see my thumb, see my fist, you better run. And anytime that any of us kids got a little out of line, that's what Kathy would say to us. It was always, always those words. And it's really good just to kind of look back and reminisce, especially
Yep.
after someone has passed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, there's always the classic, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about.
Right? Oh, yeah. Heard that definitely a lot growing up as well. Well, everybody, as we said that this is Turnbuckle Talk, we are looking at episode number 370 on April the 30th, 2024, Drafting New Happiness. There seems to be a lot of happiness that is going on inside of the WWE as of late, and we are going to get to that as part of our show stopper segment this week. So stick around till the end of the show and find out who seems to be happy right now. But a huge thing actually happened over this past Friday and Monday. A huge monumental thing. We're going to start with SmackDown because that's where everything started. And they did the draft for 2024. I'm just going to go quickly through the names that SmackDown picked. Now we need to remember that this is not the entire roster of the WWE, but this is just who was picked. So if you were already on that show and didn't get picked, you stay there essentially. There's no change for you.
No.
Unless you're the champion, then you stay exactly where you are. And that brings us to Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE champion. SmackDown continues with keeping Bayley, the women's champion, Logan Paul, the United States champion, and A-Town Down Under, the tag team champions. Now, over on SmackDown, on your screens on Friday nights, are going to be Bianca Belair, Carmelo Hayes, Randy Orton, Nia Jax, LA Knight, The Bloodline, AJ Styles, Andrade, The OC, Baron Corbin, Cedric Alexander, and Ashante the Adonis, Jade Cargill, Kevin Owens, The Pride, Tiffy Time with Tiffany Stratton, Legado del Fantasma, Shinsuke Nakamura, Naomi, Chelsea Green, and Piper Niven making a move over to SmackDown. Pretty Deadly, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, DIY, Blair Davenport, Apollo Crews, Giovanni Vinci, and Tegan Knox. Quite a few names on there. And I believe that this is really going to kind of give us the landscape for the next year of who is going to be showcased on our televisions. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I love it. SmackDown did very well. Though for either brand, there was no earth-shattering kaboom, so to speak.
Right.
But I like it because it's the consistency, the stability. They said it, it's about tweaking your roster around what you already have.
Yes.
Big name that I was actually surprised to not see move one way or the other or get drafted was Jimmy Uso.
Ah, right. Right. I mean, I guess so. They kept the bloodline on SmackDown. Yep. Right. So I guess that kind of just makes sense that we wouldn't do anything with Jimmy. Leave him on SmackDown so that they can still kind of maybe have that feud that has been going on between all of them. I think that that's a very good idea. And I'm glad that they did keep it that way. Now, you know that I prefer Monday Night Raw because I can usually do the Raw Patrol that you can see here on Turnbuckle Studios, YouTube, and Twitch. But I think I would have liked to see Randy Orton be a name over on Monday Night Raw. I am a fan of Randy Orton, and I think that Randy Orton and LA Knight on my screen is something that I want to see. So I might have to start watching a little bit more SmackDown because both of those names are over there.
Absolutely. Honestly, I kind of like the fact that they kept Randy on SmackDown because that's where he signed with when he returned just after Survivor Series. So he hasn't even had a full year back yet.
Right.
And the history that he has with Cody, plus his current developing story as a tag team with Kevin Owens, is fantastic. Right. Now, we could see very easily Randy Orton at some point later in the year challenging Cody Rhodes for that title.
And we could.
And that would be very good for both of their legacies.
Right. Oh, very much so. Very much so. I see what you did there. I see what you did. Chris is shocked that Rhea wasn't picked. Rhea Ripley was not picked by either brand to go to either one of the shows. So she stays. She stays on Raw. That's it.
They haven't even announced who is a free agent yet.
True.
With the exception of one name that I just read just before we came on, that being Brock Lesnar is listed as a free agent.
You know what? Because we have the internet available to us, we can do this live right now. Just let me go and take a look and see. Click on Superstars and it actually gives you the option to do a drop down for free agents. So interesting. Okay. The only free agents, there's 5 of them.
Okay.
We're looking Brock Lesnar. Logan Paul is a free agent. MVP. Omos. And R-Truth.
Interesting. And it's funny because R-Truth as a champion is locked in on Raw. Logan Paul as a champion is locked in on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where things go from there. If they move brands or go and do something on another brand when they drop those titles.
Right. It's going to be really interesting. I mean, will that allow then R-Truth to be able to just go anywhere he wants, whether it be NXT, whether it be SmackDown or Raw? I think it's going to be fantastic in that respect. I would love it.
Absolutely. Having R-Truth on our screens every show would be absolutely incredible. The guy is pure gold.
Oh, he is. He is. And not just because of his comedicness, like the comedic gold is fantastic, but you also get his in-ring abilities are beautiful. Tamati Zin, thank you so much for the sub over on Twitch. I appreciate you. And after the show, we will give that back as well and give you a sub too. Chris is saying, I mean, it did feel like they were setting some things up for Logan Paul on Raw last night. True, but I think that more has to do with Prime as opposed to the WWE.
Yes.
Yeah. I think because of that sponsorship that is there, I think that is where things kind of come a little bit different into play.
Yes.
We talk about Monday Night Raw. Let's go through their draft picks here. World champion Damian Priest, women's champion Becky Lynch, Intercontinental Sami Zayn, tag team Awesome Truth. The rest of the names that were chosen include Jey Uso, Seth freaking Rollins, Braun Breaker, Liv Morgan, Ricochet, Sheamus, Alpha Academy, Kiana James, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Alba Fire, and Isla Dawn, which I'm excited for. Ivar, Imperium, Damage Control, CM Punk, Braun Strowman, a returning Braun Strowman, the entirety of the LWO, including Carlito, ? Drew McIntyre, Judgment Day, Ilya Dragunov, The New Day, Lyra Valkyria, The Final Testament, Big Bronson Reed, Natalia, Caden Carter, and Katana Chance. Ah, yes. And then Odyssey Jones, Dijak, the Creed Brothers and Ivy Nile, and New Catch Republic. Yes, they have more picks because, well, they're a 3-hour show as opposed to SmackDown that's a 2-hour show. I had people asking me about that today while I was doing my shoot job.
Right.
Any names on there that you want to talk about, that you want to touch on?
I think the big ones that really stand out for me are Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for the women's tag team division. Damage Control. Yes. Please. And New Catch Republic, because that is going to be an interesting add to the Raw tag division.
Oh, yes, it definitely will be. Chris is saying, I love how the majority of the NXT picks were women. I didn't have her on my radar, but I'm interested in what they will do. with Kiana James.
Yep. She certainly wasn't on my radar either. And Chris, you and I watched as we did our first ever SmackDown patrol, or we'll call it SmackDown patrol for now.
Yeah, for now, we'll see. We'll see what
This
happens.
past Friday. And yeah, so it's very interesting. I didn't think she was ready. So we do have to sort of wait and see. I'm interested to see, are they going to revisit Lyra versus Becky quickly, or are they going to wait?
I'm hoping they wait, to be honest. I'm hoping
Yeah.
they wait. Give us just a little bit more time, for everyone to kind of get refamiliarized before we jump back into all of this, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited for this roster that is over on Monday Night Raw right now. The Final Testament. I'm hoping that their name being chosen, that all of them are maybe going to get more screen time, I guess we
Yes.
could say. And even if it is outside of the glitches that have been happening, outside of Dreadmere, outside of any of that, because there's been rumor that they may be part of Dreadmere, the
Right.
new Wyatt 6 type of situation. I'm really hoping that we see more from them, because I am a huge fan of them. And I haven't seen a lot from the LWO because they were over on SmackDown.
Yes.
So I am interested to see what they are going to bring to Monday Night Raw. Hello, Chris Parrish. Thank you for popping in. Appreciate you. Not sure if you're home, work, or traveling to home. It's one of those three.
Yeah. As far as the Final Testament goes, they've had plenty of screen time over on SmackDown.
Right.
But they've been, again, relegated when they were brought up as this, badass faction, but very, very limited in their successes. We've seen them make a return to NXT as well. To their AOP are challenging for the tag team titles on NXT this evening.
Right.
So I'm hoping they're going to get a bit more of a push and not used as pushovers.
One can hope.
The LWO, again, fantastic. I think it's time that maybe Ray takes a step back, maybe takes on more of a managerial role, as opposed to competing every week and taking the spotlight from the rest of those guys.
Unfortunately, I don't see that happening, especially with what we got last night. It looks as though they're going to try to rekindle the fire that was under Dominic and Ray, and maybe try to run with that once again. And I don't know that I am for it. I don't want to see it again. I'll be completely
No,
honest. I don't want to see Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio again.
no,
I'm
I don't.
done.
I've had it with the family versus family angles, be brother versus brother, father versus son. I
Right?
really didn't want to see it at WrestleMania, but we got it. Great. It's over. We don't need it. We've heard rumors of a mask versus hair match for years between Dom and Ray.
Yeah.
Again, I really don't want to see it. If Ray's going to pass the torch to Dom, go out to the ring and just do it honorably and say, you can have my mask.
I'd be fine with that. You know what else I'd be fine with? You talk about you're tired of brother versus brother and father versus son. What if we got a mother versus daughter situation? I don't think that I have ever seen on wrestling television programming where we have seen sister versus sister or mother versus daughter
No,
storyline.
not in active. Well, we did get it briefly a number of years ago with the McMahon Helmsley era when Stephanie and Linda were opposing each other. But that was back then. We haven't had anything currently. I mean, the most recent was probably in OVW with Holly Hood, Haley J against her mother, and I can't remember her mother's name for.
Right. But and Parrish, you're right. You say Linda versus Steph, but Linda, like I'm talking wrestling feud, like in ring competition type of feud, not just Linda is in a wheelchair
Right.
and someone else is fighting her battles for her. Amazing Maria, that is the name. That is the name. JJ, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. And he shouts out OMD, OMD, OMD.
What's going on, JJ? Good to see you, brother.
So I would be interested in seeing something like that on, main stage television when it comes to professional wrestling. We've talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about it again. The inclusion and the use of celebrity. So we had a portion of the Raw draft last night that kind of got, maybe a little bit of a boost, maybe a little bit. Oh, I love you, JJ. Toronto two-stepper, he says.
There we go.
The draft kind of got a little bit of a boost, let's say, when we saw the use of three-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Patrick Mahomes, or Mahomes, however you want to pronounce. I've heard it pronounced several different ways.
Right.
He made several appearances during the show and actually played like a heel character, which really seemed out of sorts because he's the hometown guy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
He is Kansas City, right? Like, I come to find out, you told me, and I looked it up, and sure as shit, it is. Yeah, I think it's pronounced overrated. Yes. Yes. The reason for that was actually 100% out of the WWE's control, out of their hands. They did have no say in that. The involvement wasn't booked by them, but was instead put together by WWE's sponsor and our drink company, Prime, due to the partnership between Mahomes and Logan Paul. The company, I guess, requested that Mahomes and Paul be associated throughout Raw.
Yep.
And because Logan Paul is kind of in a heel role, that resulted in Patrick being in a heel role as well.
Yes.
Give me your thoughts on all of that BS or all of that programming.
It was interesting to say the least. We do know that, I mean, Logan Paul and Patrick Mahomes are friends outside of their partnership as well.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So the fact that now you're getting your partners to book your segments, your sponsors to book your segments, as opposed to putting it in the hands of creative, would it not have been better to see, especially in where you're the face of the community, him maybe take his 3 Super Bowl rings and either shove or knock Logan Paul out?
Or just put his finger up and go, no. Like, that's all they
Yeah.
needed to do, and put the rings into his pocket.
But I mean, we are talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation again, so it's a case of the money talks, the BS walks.
Mm-hmm. I think they could have done it differently. I think how I just presented it would have been a better idea. And I think that really would have got a pop out of the crowd, to see Patrick kind of go, no, 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 Logan. I don't care that we have this thing together. I'm not doing that. And putting those Super Bowl rings into his pocket where he can't get at them.
Yeah.
Right. And then he's the hero coming out of this because, well, he did the right thing, as opposed to
Yeah.
giving them and allowing him to hit Jey Uso. Well, he hit him
JD
a little
McDonough.
bit after he struck JD McDonough first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sometimes the writing is not the
But
greatest. It's still
it's
professional
again,
wrestling, and I get that it's still that, that entertainment, but this just didn't entertain me.
no, and it's that celebrity involvement where you've now got, I mean, obviously you're going to have your football team or your hockey team or basketball team repping you at the WWE show. I'm all for that. I'm even okay with them
Right.
pointing it out. But right after you just showed a vignette of the Kansas City Chiefs players helping a child involved in a tragedy that occurred at their Super Bowl parade.
Right.
And then you're going to turn around and completely flip the script and paint Patty Mahomes in that type of a picture. So
Yeah.
it's the celebrity involvement that doesn't need to be there. And you've already got a YouTube celebrity and influencer in Logan Paul wearing
Yep.
your company US title. What more do you need?
Right. I don't know that there is much more that they need. I really don't. You know what I do need, though? I need Dark Side of the Ring. Dark Side of the Ring is actually partnering up with The Rock and $7 Productions, and giving us a docu-series that I am actually really, really excited about. The Rock is going to executive produce Who Killed WCW. It's going to premiere on June the 4th on Vice TV. And the show is going to examine the downfall of WCW. And it's going to
Okay.
feature exclusive, in-depth interviews, is what we are getting right now. $7 Productions is also serving as executive producers, as will Vice TV's Lee Hoffman, Evan Husney, and Jason Eisner. So
Okay.
there's quite a few names that are going to be working on this. The Rock, even, he also executive produced Tales from the Territories for Vice.
Right.
So I love seeing The Rock getting out and doing these different things as well, getting into more of the production of things.
Yes.
Now, we have seen numerous times, we have seen the WCW story. Do you feel that this 4-part docu-series is going to be just the same stuff that we've kind of already seen and heard? Or do you think, because of who is involved with this, Dark Side and The Rock and $7, that we're going to actually get something different?
I think with Dark Side, it's not going to be as WWE centric. But that is where The Rock and $7 production sort of worries me, with The Rock on the TKO board of governors.
Right. Right.
Like, because we've had the rise and fall of WCW and all of that has
Yeah.
been very WWE centric. And we all know of, the famous "I just bought my competition."
Yeah.
Um, so I really hope we don't get that. And I do hope that these interviews are going to be not just with people who are in WWE, but people who were in WCW and did not get involved with with the WWE, but maybe went on and had success in other companies and other ventures in wrestling outside of WCW.
Right. Chris is saying, I think it'd be interested in the lesser known stories surrounding the downfall of WCW. I would be as well. We have heard all of the other stories numerous times on numerous different productions. I'm really hoping that we are going to see lesser known and something different from this. Um, Especially, like, I couldn't even, so that we didn't get flagged for anything. On YouTube, I did not include the word killed. I didn't
Right.
include that word in the description because I didn't want anything to get flagged. But with it
Right.
being called "Who Killed WCW," that like really puts an emphasis on things.
It does.
I,
It does. And I mean, even in a number of the biographies that I've read, Ric Flair's, Hulk Hogan's, Legion of Doom, they've all spoken about this and the constant turnover in bookers and chairmen and all of that. But it's all been essentially the same stories from this talent.
yeah,
So let's hope that it's not all that same talent. Let's hope it's guys from the outside that were maybe there for a cup of coffee, as opposed to
yeah,
a DDP, a Sting, who were WCW lifers had it not been for the buyout.
right. So some people have said alive and well, even though The Rock is going to produce Who Killed WCW. The reason why people say that is because of one man named Tony Khan. Now, I hear a lot of people kind of throw some shade at Tony, on Tony, for AEW. Um,
Yep.
Tony's around our age,
Yeah.
little younger, but around our age, which means that he would have grown up with WCW versus the WWE.
Yeah.
He saw the meteoric rise that WCW had. And I think he's trying to capture lightning in a bottle for a second time.
Yeah.
And that's where a little bit of a downfall comes in. But that brings me to kayfabe. And if you don't know what kayfabe is, look her up. She's a sweet girl. Tony Khan received a move from the Young Bucks. Came out to some press conferences wearing a neck brace. A very classic, old school thing to do.
Yep.
I know that this is not going to be something that helps the case for Tony Khan and AEW, but it's pro wrestling. Just enjoy wrestling, people. Just
Yeah.
enjoy professional wrestling. But I want to get your take on Tony Khan taking that extra step after getting the Meltzer driver from the Young Bucks to now be wearing a neck brace.
It was interesting to see, as well, the fact that he is going to be naming an on-screen authority figure starting tomorrow night, as he has said he is unable to travel in his current condition.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be very interesting. So again, full credit to Tony. I know I'm just as guilty of throwing shade at him and on
Right.
AEW. I did not see that segment last week. I did fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's understandable. You're old.
yep. It's very, very interesting to see. Again, I don't think you're going to catch lightning in a bottle twice. I think they're already hit that same path that WCW ended on.
Right.
And they need to get some structure in there. It cannot be the inmates running the asylum.
Understandable. Chris is saying Tony did not sell the neck well. LOL. Lots of LLLLLLLs going on in there. I love the fact that Tony Khan took that extra little bit, that extra step. Chris Parrish and I have always said on different shows that we have been on together that it's the little things that make the most difference when it comes to a professional wrestling match or a professional wrestling show. And this is one of those little things that for me is making a big, big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm actually anxious to see AEW tomorrow and see where they go.
Chris is letting us know that Tony Khan kept bobbing his head around like he was D'Lo Brown. Oh, yes. If you guys haven't heard, D'Lo Brown is coming through Ontario.
Yes.
So if you're in Ontario,
you and I both know there's nothing funny about concussions. There's nothing funny about neck problems. So I don't know. Like I said, I didn't get to see that segment where Tony took the Meltzer driver.
Right.
And we all know that I'm not a big fan of the Bucks.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's
so
very
it
well known.
really would have been probably a washout segment for me anyways.
Right.
But I'm interested to see where they go.
Gotcha.
With Dynamite tomorrow.
Gotcha. We have talked about one con. Let's go and talk about knee injuries. Because Chris is saying there's nothing funny about knee injuries for me at the moment. Yes, that is one of the reasons why he is not with us tonight. He does have an injury, and the medication that he has is kind of throwing him for a little bit of a loop. Yeah. But it's all good. It's all good. We talked one con. Let's talk another con. You brought this up to me. Discuss Nick Khan for a few moments.
Nick Khan, the CEO of the WWE, has filed to sell all of his stocks within the company.
Okay.
And there was 230, I can't remember the exact number, but it was going to make him even wealthier than he already is. Significantly wealthier.
It was 234,424 shares of the stock at about $96.76 per share.
Yes. Wow. Now, what does this mean? We have no idea. We've read that he's potentially staying on in his current role, so maybe this is just a way for him to now protect his investment, protect himself. I have read somewhere, and I have been looking, that it could potentially be because he was named as a figure in the Vince McMahon lawsuit. That is only potential and speculative, so I don't know, because I could not find the article again.
Right.
So we don't know. Maybe this is TKO covering themselves as well. Maybe they're holding the stock for him. We know
That
they
could
have
be.
completed. Maybe because we know they have completed the buyout of Vincent Kennedy McMahon's stock.
Right.
So
Right.
potentially they are just holding the stock while all of this is resolved.
So things that I have learned from this is that Nick Khan is, he's listed as a seller in the prospectus. He plans to sell his entire stake, including restricted stock units that he's accumulated over time. He will continue in his current role at the company that has been confirmed. So it's important to understand that the filing only makes these shares eligible for sale. It doesn't necessarily mean that they will be sold, but they're available for sale. So essentially, what it is you see all the Funko Pops I have behind me. I'm saying I'm making these available or eligible for sale. But if nobody wants them,
Right.
I'm stuck with them. I still have them.
Right.
However, they're WWE stock essentially, and they
Yes.
generally sell very, very quickly.
Yes.
So,
But I also wonder, because there was somebody who recently made a return to WWE programming, both at WrestleMania and on SmackDown. Somebody who was a former co-chairman of the board, co-CEO along with Nick Khan.
Yep.
Somebody who's been raised in the industry. And I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if they are looking to insert one Stephanie McMahon onto the board of governors and into the chairman's role or chairperson's role.
That's a possibility as well. I mean, it might have even been, and I doubt that it would be, but it might have even been that Khan's position within the company was only a placeholder for when Steph wanted to come back. I doubt that that's the way things went, because this is corporate world. This isn't entertainment world. You know what I mean?
Right.
This isn't a
Yep.
storyline that's playing out. This is actual corporate level stuff that is going on. Chris is saying corporate people sell their stocks all the time, but at the same time, it is weird that he's looking to sell it all. That was the biggest thing for me, is that he is actually looking to sell all of his stake, all of his stock, all of his shares within the company. And it's odd, but maybe also a little troubling at the same time. Because if you have got one of the top people in the company selling everything or putting for sale all of their shares and stocks, do they not have faith in the direction that the company is going, or with what TKO is doing or Endeavor is doing? Maybe he's seeing something that we're not seeing and allowing himself to get out while it is still good and easy to do so.
I have actually just found something from WrestleNomics and
Okay.
Brandon Thurston.
Okay.
And it says, I don't see Nick Khan listing all of his shares for sale as some kind of omen, despite flailing online about it. All of his shares, as well as all of Vince McMahon's shares, have been listed since September. Suddenly,
Okay.
attention is being paid for confused reasons. Vince has made sales. There are no records of Nick making sales yet, which would be required due to him being a board member.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about if or when Nick might leave WWE, your focus should be more on the fact that his 5-year employment contract expires August of 2025. Nick Khan's employment agreement, which has been public since he joined WWE in 2020, though this is amended 2022 version, related to his TKO stock, his employment contract promises him millions of dollars in equity, some of which already vested, 16.5 million of which won't vest until September 30th, 2025. Additionally, his contract says some of his compensation is paid in stock based on performance.
Okay.
In other words, even if he sold every share as he could as soon as possible, he would still have a significant and direct financial interest in the performance of TKO shares due to performance compensation and millions in shares that won't vest until after his current employment term expires. Which
Okay.
means regardless of whether he sells, he is going to get paid and paid for a long, long time.
Nice. Well, good for him. So yeah, maybe we are just taking a too deep of a look into this and into things, but it's interesting to say the least, and it's uh, things that maybe not a lot of people are talking about. I know right now a lot of people are talking about it. Um, it's still very interesting, and I think that we're going to keep watching this story as it develops. And in case anybody wants to know, at close, TKO Group Holdings Incorporated closed at $94.67 a share, which is down about 1.89%. So if you're looking to buy stock in TKO, might be a good time now if you got the extra cash to be able to do so.
Yeah.
But, analysts are recommending that it is a strong buy right now to do so. They're looking the 12-month target price to be at about $109 ish over
So
12
buy at
months. So,
95 and sell at 110.
right? You're still going to make money. You're
Yep.
still going to make money. We know that the WWE has a pay-per-view called Money in the Bank, but one that maybe people do not know a lot more about because it hasn't been really showcased as well as it should be is King of the Ring. Chris Best remembers when WWE stock was selling at $12 a share. Yes, you should have invested then. You definitely should have.
We all should have.
We do have a little bit of an update on the King of the Ring tournament. So the road to the King and Queen of the Ring is going to begin on the May 6th episode of WWE Raw. There really haven't been any specific details that have been announced as of yet, but the WWE has confirmed that the King of the Ring tournament would begin on the first episode of Raw in May. Michael Cole actually shared that news on the April 29th episode of Raw. The tournament finals are going to be held at the King and Queen of the Ring on May 25th. We do know that Gunther, Xavier Woods, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus are currently set to compete in the tournament. And we will have to wait to see who else is going to become available for that. But now that begs the question, if they are going to be doing the King of the Ring qualifiers, I guess we could call them. Are we going to see SmackDown bring us the women's qualifiers?
I hope so. It's going to be very interesting. I think we should have members of both brands. I actually stated last night I have Giovanni Vinci entering and probably potentially being a first round opponent for Gunther. But that was
Right.
also going under the assumption that I know you and I would both prefer of it being a one night tournament.
Yeah. I would prefer it to be a one night tournament.
As opposed to this, let's qualify, let's have our semifinals, and then just do the finals.
Yeah.
No, it's got to go back to the one night, like to the shows that made Steve Austin, Triple H, Sheamus, Wade Barrett. We don't need to go back to Bret Hart because he was already a made man when he won it.
Yeah.
It even made Owen far more credible than what anybody believed he would have been.
No, I agree with that. Definitely.
So I hope that there's involvement from both brands, and I like potentially I'd rather see SmackDown just announce. And if you're going to do that, then you can start your first round matchups, your second round matchups, and then go. But I'd also rather it be 16 people and whittle it down to the 2, as opposed to 8 if you're going to stretch this out.
Right. I don't know. It's going to be interesting for sure. It definitely will be. And we do know that it is all going to culminate in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Yeah. I do want to get to some breaking news. But Chris Best, before we get to the breaking from Chris Parrish, who audio members are only going to hear it after I say it. Video, those who are watching on video at Turnbuckle Studios on YouTube and Twitch can read it already. But Chris is saying, I have a scenario I thought of. Imagine if we had both brands for both male and female, with the finals for each being Raw versus SmackDown. I'd be cool with that.
Absolutely. The problem there, though, lies in I realize we're 6 months out, but you're going to get the same thing for Survivor Series. We've already seen immense crossover from Survivor Series until officially last night when the draft finished. We know the rosters after the draft will not be locked until next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to take all of that into account.
Yeah, we definitely do. Definitely we do. We do got a little bit of breaking news here coming from Mr. Chris Parrish, who is letting us know that Scripps is confirmed to be leaving the WWE as per Fightful. And that was probably confirmed by Fightful Select, their paywall. Which, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we will never put any of this behind a paywall. I promise you that. Turnbuckle Studios will never go behind a paywall. Okay? Okay. Also, Mike Rome is expected to be going over to NXT.
Yes.
That I can see. I can understand that.
That was something that broke today. An interesting event happened over the weekend, though, with UFC.
Okay.
And that was their ring announcer got sick.
Okay.
And former WWE ring announcer Charlie Caruso, actually, she was just a backstage interviewer, but Charlie Caruso took over the ring announcing duties and was the first female ring announcer in UFC history.
Nice. Good. Good for her. Chris Best is telling you that Survivor Series hasn't been SmackDown versus Raw in years. Well, maybe this new era needs to change that. This evolution era needs to change that. Yeah. That would make me happy. Just as there are stars within the WWE right now who are happy with where things are and where things are going. And one of them has come forth and let us know that they were not a fan of the era before Triple H. And I don't even want to say era, but a fan of the WWE before Triple H decided to take the reins, or was given the reins, or Roman Reigns, or reigning men. I don't know at this point, but I digress. That person is Gunther. The Ring General Gunther has come out and said that he was not a fan of the WWE pre Triple H, and that he is much happier now. Now, we've talked about this multiple times on the Raw Patrol, where we can expressly see the joy and the happiness that is in the faces of these stars right now. What are your thoughts on Gunther coming out and actually saying this?
I love it. They've been given a little more freedom in terms of their promos, in terms of their in-ring.
Right.
I've long been a proponent saying that for years they were called up to the main roster and bastardized.
Okay.
As opposed to being able to go out there and be who they are. Part of that probably comes from growing up watching the Hulk Hogans and the Ultimate Warriors and seeing those larger than life superheroes, to then, well, okay, now it's just about the dollars and the cents, and we're not getting the entertainment aspect.
Right.
We are looking now at Triple H's classic NXT class having come up and made their waves on the main roster, while he's stepped up from, while he's come over from NXT and running it there, to now taking charge of Raw and SmackDown as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a fantastic team behind him, and I think his team is probably a lot happier and creative, as opposed to, you know, let's just write the same thing over and over for the same person. There are
Which
two
happens
things,
a lot.
right? Quote from Miro today, actually,
Okay.
and this was because he's out, and it's one of the things why he was influenced to go to AEW. The two things that make wrestlers happy the most are cash and creative. He was, of course, paid a lot of money, but he has a lot more creative control, a lot more creative freedom. And this
Okay.
isn't back in the day where we've got Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and guys like that calling the shots on their careers. This is everybody working together. This is what wrestling is supposed to be, the locker room, the camaraderie.
Right. Supposed to be. I think it's absolutely fantastic, though. I think it's great that everyone is having more fun again. And you know, it really translates to the fans as well, and it translates into even what us as content creators and podcasters are even doing. As you guys saw, and if you haven't, go and take a look at the beginning of the show. You will see a brand new introduction that we have put together, and I'm going to be working later on creating a new outro for us as well. But I wanted to make sure that we got at least an intro and a jingle in there as well. And just to kind of brighten things up, because I'm happy about professional wrestling and I am happy about being a professional wrestling fan once again. Not that I was ever sad about being a professional wrestling fan, but it just seems fun and exciting to be a fan and to see how pro wrestling is growing once again.
Absolutely. So if you're out there and you have the chance to go and see an indie show, go and see it, because you never know who you're going to see. If you don't have to go to a mass production like a Raw or a WrestleMania to enjoy wrestling. It's one of the reasons why I'm actually a huge Impact fan. It's got that independent show vibe.
It does. It does. Yeah, it's
So
absolutely
you
fantastic.
get that vibe versus the mass production and the pyro. You can equate an independent show and a mass production to a rock concert and a rock festival. And you and I have done all of
Yep. We definitely
it.
have.
And your rock concert is basic, it's there, it's a night. And you don't necessarily get the pyro, you get the festival. You're getting the pyro, the on stage, after the show, everything. And it's the same thing with wrestling. It's an adrenaline high either way.
It is. 100% it is. It is a good time to be a professional wrestling fan. Once again, it is a good time to be going to indie shows. Going to an indie show is how Chris Best became a fan of Cody Deaner. See, it's those little things like that you go to a show and you see someone that you like and you get familiarized with somebody and become a fan of theirs.
Yep.
We hope that each and every one of you will become fans of ours as well. If you are listening to this on audio format, we welcome you to join us Tuesdays at 8:05 on Twitch and YouTube at Turnbuckle_studios on YouTube and at Turnbuckle Studios on Twitch. OMD, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Facebook under my real name, Daniel Hrycyk, Hrycyk, on Snapchat, One Man Dynamic, capitals on O, M, and D, on Twitch, OMD17, and on Discord at OMD6370. Visually, they can catch me right here every Monday with yourself, Chris Best, Chris Parrish, Bubba Duke, doing the Raw Patrol. Every Tuesday with you and Chris Best right here on Turnbuckle Talk. Thursdays with Bubba Duke on the Boar's Nest. And that is at youtube.com/@BubbaOMD. And now, as we debuted last Friday, we will be introducing a SmackDown Patrol type thing on Fridays with myself and hopefully Chris Best if he's feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
So that it's more entertainment, more content for you, and watch along. You'll get our live analysis and reactions. We hope that you'll be able to join us occasionally on a Friday too. I know you're busy with the shoot job.
Unfortunately, yeah. No, it's good. It's good. Like I said, it's a good time to be in the world of professional wrestling, and this shows it right there. The way that we've been able to grow Turnbuckle Studios from having one show to having a multitude of different shows, and even putting more shows in there because, well, we can, and because the availability is there for it, really shows and attests to the rise that professional wrestling is having once again. Yeah.
Yes.
If any of you would like to check out our shop, it is at karlkarufel.redbubble.com. KarlKarufel.redbubble.com. You can get yourself one of these, a Turnbuckle Talk shirt. You can get it on a mug, on a travel mug, on a multitude of different things, on a hat. You can get it on just about anything, but it includes everything Turnbuckle Studios as well. The website will be going through a little bit of a revamp as I'm adding and taking things away from the shop. So if there's anything that you want, you better go and get it quick before what you want disappears. Go and check out karlkarufel.redbubble.com. And you can find me at my link tree, linktr.ee/Karl Karufel. That is linktr.ee/KarlKarufel. Thank you so much to everybody for coming by, for joining us today, for listening to the show, and for joining along with Drafting New Happiness. For OMD and myself, Karl Karufel, thank you. And remember, everyone, the world's a scary place. Take care of each other.